Hey Sam, welcome to the brand new business podcast. And we're talking to Sam Kidd today, who has a business as a VA. And this is her story of how she set it up in business, what it's like to be in business, why she went into business. So over to you, Sam, for an introduction on who you are and what you do.
So I have been working as a virtual assistant / online business manager for almost 9 years. I started off in corporate, got really sick of corporate, as most of us do, and the flexibility and freedom that does not come with corporate. And decided I wanted to be able to have some financial freedom and flexibility and time with my family. So I found out all about working as a virtual assistant, and it's been amazing ever since. And then about 2 years ago, I had so many people coming to me all the time saying to me, Sam, how is it that you do what you do? Where do you find your clients? Because I think they see me having that flexibility, that freedom, work-life balance. I fetch my kids. I'm always at their activities, horse riding specifically. And they were always asking me, like, how do you do this? Because becoming a virtual assistant, although there's a lot of information out there, can be quite a tedious process if you don't know where to start. So that kind of led me to starting a new arm to my business, which is the Mum VA brand, which truly has helped me design and get up and running. And I haven't looked back. It's been really amazing so far. It's still a brand new business. It's still in its baby stages, but it's amazing.
I've got some inside information on the Mum VA part of your business, and it's all great. It's all amazing, but it hasn't been quite so straightforward as you've put it, has it? You've given yourself quite a few blocks along the way.
Absolutely. And still I have to overcome so many obstacles. And I think it's more of a mindset block than anything else. Because if I had to work on Mum VA as hard as I work on my clients, I think I'd be like the next Elon Musk, but in the VA industry.
Brilliant.
I'd be launching my VA rocket to Mars. It's really a belief. And I find this with so many businesses, because obviously as a VA, I get to work with so many people who have started their business or is growing their business. And a lot of the time it's two things. It's a mindset block of not believing in yourself, not believing that this is possible for you. And the second, which I suppose goes hand in hand with the mindset block, right, is the imposter syndrome, the fear of being judged. And I think that once you get to a point where you take that leap, it's all a lot easier from there. But it's to take that leap, which is really difficult. And we've overcome that. And I'm still overcoming new things every single day, learning new things every single day.
It's incredible because, you have such a vast range of experience as a VA. Who would think you would ever struggle to be that expert, to talk to the world from your expert status and say, I can show you this, I can teach you this, because you can do it. You've been doing it for years. So for you then to go off out and say, oh, I can help you do it, but then hold yourself back because you're almost saying to yourself, well, who's going to listen to me? Why? What have I got to say to the world? On the one hand, you've got so much to offer. On the other hand, you're like, oh, but why would anyone listen to me? And it is such
absolutely. And I think the thing that helps the very most is, and if I could give like any suggestion to anybody, is in the beginning, we start off with what information can we put out there that's going to be of value, and we try and perfect this information as much as we can. We try to perfect our look and our feel and our sign-up page, and to the point where we don't get started. So that's the first thing, is just get started. It doesn't matter if you don't have everything in place. The second thing is, which is really, really important, is in the beginning, serve. Like I took my mindset off, I took my focus off, everything's got to be perfect. And I ran my first challenge, which is like a 5-day Become a VA challenge. And then after that, I upsold a course. And if I must be completely honest, my first challenge sold 3 courses, I think. But I supported those 3 women like it was my life. Do you know what I mean? I put so much into that 99 pounds or whatever it was that it felt like it was everything. And now I get messages from these women. I got one this morning that said, Sam, you won't believe it, I've signed my 3rd client. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm so, and this was a woman coming from South Africa, where I'm from, but from one of the really small towns in South Africa. When she initially signed up, I remember seeing her on a Facebook group saying, I'm just so done with this VA stuff. I've tried everything and nothing's working. And I sent her a message and I said, I just want you to try one more thing and then you can give up. And she was like, okay, fine. And she came and joined the challenge. And now she's got her 3rd client. And I think that that shift needs to happen when you get that first person who is so happy and so appreciative for what you've done for them. And then you know you can do it.
It's proof.
It's your proof.
You've
and if you need to serve first and profit later, because that I think is the first thing. I think you got to serve, and you're going to be working for peanuts, and you're going to be, your pricing is going to be low in the beginning, and you're going to be getting yourself out there, so you're not going to be making money, but you're going to do it to serve. And then once you get that proof, then that's when you can go, okay, and you get like a little chip on your shoulder, like, I'm good.
There's one other thing I wanted to ask you as well about, because I've been part of this process, I was helping you out with the branding. So I just want to take you back to that moment when we started talking about what you were going to do, the course you were going to offer, and that we had quite a few discussions. And then one of the things I was asking you is like, well, who are you going to serve? How do you serve them? What is it that they're going to have in common? What are your experiences? Where are you coming from? And that was a really interesting session for you. I think there was a bit of a light bulb moment.
No, it definitely was. And I think it was this whole concept of overwhelm. It's all part of that overwhelm. It all seems so much. And when I got onto that branding session with you, I thought we're going to be there for hours, because already in my mind, I've been thinking for years who I want to serve and what my colors should be and what my brand should look like. We got into the session and you asked me some really simple questions. And I thought to myself, it can't possibly be that simple. Like, we came up with the name, the niche, the like target mark, like everything in like 20 minutes. And I thought, like, it really, really can't be that simple, but it really was. And my name is so descriptive, like Mum VA. It tells you exactly what my business does, what it's, who it serves. And now I'm starting to coin the term Mumva, which is really interesting. Like, my group is a group of Mumvas, and every time I talk to them, they're my Mumvas. And but it made me realize we overcomplicate stuff. I was looking for something so overcomplicated, and it was so simple and right in front of me. And when you did the brand concept and I put it out there, the feedback was so massive. Not a single person has ever looked at my logo or my branding and wondered what it is that I do.
Because it's so important that it represents you and it attracts your people, and that's what we were going for. And it was in that sort of session where I said to you, so who can you speak to, who can you relate to? You've come from a big corporate background, you're a mum, and it was really important for you to have that flexibility. So of course these are your people, of course these are the people that you can help the most. And it was as simple as that. And that little light bulb, I love it when this happens, when I talk to people and all of a sudden you can see that, like, the thing that comes up from inside is the realization dawns on them, and they go, oh my God, of course. And yeah, watching that happen to you was amazing. These are my people. Yes, this is who I'm going to serve.
Absolutely.
This is how. And you can feel really passionate about that, and you are, and like you said, those 3 people that you helped, it was like your life depended on it. That's what it's all about.
Exactly. And I think that when you simplify it, you made it so simple. That mountain of can I be honest, stress that comes with this thing that I have to present to the world just disappeared. It was just so simple. Like, there it is, Mum VA, there's my colors, there's my font. Like, the way you gave me the branding guidelines, like, now every time I'm doing something, I just know that's my brand and that's what I need to stick to. And there's nothing that I put out there that does not scream my brand, and I will never put anything out there that does not scream my brand. But you took that stress away, and once that stress is gone, it's easier to talk to people, because you're no longer worrying about your brand anymore. You're now worrying about business at hand. You're now worrying about communicating with these people. And on the note of speaking to your people, you made me realize that the very people I want to talk to is me 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, I was like, that's easy. I can do that, because I knew exactly how I felt, the position I was in. I just left corporate. I had small children, and I wanted to do things differently. So I knew exactly who to talk to. And once I understood that, my messaging was so clear that my first challenge, I got almost 100 people into that challenge without even trying.
That's amazing. 100 people from a standing start, from, starting from nothing, no contacts, no lists,
Nothing.
no anything. And did you advertise? How did you advertise that?
So there was still a bit of that, that imposter syndrome, that, oh, I'm not sure if I want to put myself out there. I'm a bit nervous. And because I'm a VA, I know exactly the steps that we take when it comes time to launching. I mean, you're supposed to put yourself out there like 3 times a day for 2 weeks and have so much going on around your challenge that's coming up. I think I put like 4 posts out in a total of 2 weeks. I didn't really do anything. And I just spoke in a couple of groups, like commented when people were saying, does anybody know more about virtual assistant stuff? And I was like, yeah, no, sure, come join my group. I'm running a free challenge. And just like one comment, they would obviously click on my page, see everything. And the next thing, people were just joining the group and joining the challenge. I'm now running my next challenge really, really soon. But this time I'm doing it the right way around. So if my branding had such an impact and my message had such an impact with such little engagement from my end, can you imagine if I do it the right way around? Like, what's going to happen?
See that then, in terms of, if you can get 100 people on a challenge without doing hardly anything, what can you achieve when you actually do put it out there properly and do the steps that that you're supposed to do? I mean, you do
the
this
steps that I do for my clients.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
no, it's incredible. It really is. It's easy for me. It's when you help me find that thing that is so easy for me to do. That is my natural ability to be able to teach, and you help me find that voice.
Absolutely. And this is such a common thing as well that I see with people all the time when I'm talking to them and helping them to find their brand. They say, and I say, who you can help the most. And it is like so often them. It's them, but a previous version of them. So whether that was a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, those struggles and that place where they were, that they've come from, that they've gained so much knowledge about from going from A to B, that they can really talk to these people because they know them inside out. They understand their struggles, they understand their problems, their fears, or conversely, they know what makes them really happy. They know what it would take to make their day brighter, better. And that's what it's all about, adding that value, isn't it? Adding that knowledge that's going to help them, or adding that joy that's just going to make their life better.
Absolutely. And you can't know that until you know really who you are selling to or who you are talking to. Because if you have no idea, and that's where I was before I came up, well, before you and I came up with Mum VA, is I had no idea who I was talking to. Was I talking to, you know, graduates out of school? Was I talking to moms? Was I talking to everyone? Like, and I guess that's probably why I also wasn't getting anywhere. But my message was so unclear because I had no idea who I was talking to. And that's really the first step, is understanding clearly who that client really is.
One of the things I say all the time as well is that if you try to talk to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. And it's almost like a big scattergun approach. You know, so many businesses are completely afraid to niche, to say, okay, this is my target market, and narrow it down, because, you know, they don't want to alienate people. They don't want to put people off. They've got so much opportunity. They can help so many people. But actually, when you put it out in that way, that I can help you, and you do this, and this, what happens is it gets all really confusing, and everybody's like, actually, I don't know what the heck you're doing. I don't know who you really help. So when you say I can help you with this, you're speaking directly to somebody with a solution. Then they go, oh, me, okay, yeah, I can hear you.
Absolutely. I think they call it I once heard this training where they call it the dots. They draw a huge circle of the world, and that's like the 7 billion people in the world. And then there's this one dot, and that dot is your niche. So that dot is mums that want to basically have a different paradigm to work from. Mums that want to be able to work from anywhere, become financially free, and have the flexibility not only with their family, because that's something you hear all the time. It's not just the family, it's you. You know, when you've got time to do your walks in the morning, and time to go to yoga, and time to, you know, go watch your kids' soccer match. So it's those moms that I'm talking to. And that's just a dot. And even that dot is how many people in the world? So don't worry that you're not going to have enough people. I'm sure there's millions of moms in that boat. So there's no reason to aim your message at the entire planet.
That's a really good point too, actually, that these days we're not just talking about the people in our neighborhood, we're talking on a global scale. If you're online, if you're talking to people online, who cares if they're in South Africa or America or England? Who cares if they're just down the road from you or across a great big ocean? It's fine, because we're all having the same struggles. We're all doing the same things, whether we're here, there, or anywhere. But it's
exactly, you've got the same challenges, you've got the same desires and dreams and goals. You could be a mom that is looking for something different, especially given, and I think that's a big thing, especially given what we've just been through in the world. I think it's the best time where especially mothers have sat back and said, you know what, I work better if I've got that work-life balance. I don't need to sit in traffic for 4 hours a day and then sit behind a desk from 8 until 6 to earn this, and get home and see my children for half an hour before they go to sleep. There's a way to do things differently. And in the last 3 years, we proved that. The whole world proved that we can go on working remotely and flexibly. We don't have to do this desk 8 to 6 thing anymore. And I think that shift has not just virtual assistants, people in any industry. I think people have rethought the entrepreneurial idea that they've had all this time. You know, it's time to start thinking about making that business that you want something of a reality.
I think you're absolutely right. And this is what I've been experiencing all the way through lockdown. You know, I've never been busier. I had never been busier than when lockdown started. And it was, I think there was 2 reasons. One was because actually, if people who were in business, their work had slowed down maybe, and they decided, right, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to work on my business. So there was that side of things. But then there was other people who were saying, well, okay, so the things that I was doing, I can't do anymore. So actually, now I'm going to do the thing that I've actually really wanted to do for a long time. And they were setting up in businesses. So it became a massive opportunity for people to follow their passion and to take maybe the side hustle or the dream or the little thought in their head and start making it their reality. And it works. It can work. It does work. It has worked for so many people. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It is, and it's very possible. People like me, I thought it's not for me. I worked with clients that are like building a business right from the beginning to clients that are, building a team of 50 people. And the whole time I thought that's amazing what they do, but that could never be me. I'm always in the support wings. I'm always the sidekick and never the hero. And in lockdown, something said to me, it's now or never. You're either going to take that leap. And I think that's the thing, isn't it, that separates people that are, you might have that spark, or you might have that thing in your mind, like, I want to work for myself. But then those that are willing to take that step, irrelevant of judgment or, fear, but you're going to take that step. And I think that it's the most incredible thing to do. I think if everybody knew what it was like, it's the hardest thing to do. I've never worked harder in my life. I think once you realize how hard you have to work in your own business, you think, corporate looks good round about that.
And sometimes for very little reward in those early days. You're working, and it's not always the instant gratification, that instant paycheck, and you kind of step outside that guaranteed weekly, monthly salary to this kind of roller coaster of like, oh, flipping heck, am I going to be able to pay the mortgage this month? That bit's really tough.
But that first message from that client that says, you've helped me, that's when it just makes all the difference. When people tell you, wow, you've changed my life and you've changed my business.
And it is amazing. And you do get that kind of feedback, and constantly. Sometimes I think it's easier to be in business than it is to be a mother. You get a lot more thanks from people in business who say, I really appreciate this. You've done something amazing for me. You really helped me. You never get that from the kids.
Absolutely. I always say to my husband, I think that parenting and just running a home is a full-time job. It's a full-time job, and you don't get a huge amount of appreciation. You got to beg for it.
Yeah.
But it's just the ability to be there. I came from a childhood from a single mom, no siblings. And my mom literally we would leave the house super early in the morning to get to school, like 6:30, 6:45. And she would be home usually after 7, 8 o'clock at night, because she was a single mom and working to support us. And I think that was the thing that really got me, that when I had my kids, I loved my corporate job. And I think that's another thing. Most people in corporate are like, go from the corporate rat race. Absolutely not. I loved my corporate job, to be clear. The traveling, the independence, I worked my way up to a really nice title. I had a great salary, and things were amazing until I had kids. And that's when you realize that somewhere you're going to drop the ball. And either the job is going to have some kind of a sacrifice, and usually it's not the job, because that's your survival, that's your paycheck. So usually the sacrifice comes in on how often you see your children and how often see your family. And I think that was the thing for me. Although some days I really could have left them at school. But I love the fact that I'm there to fetch them. I'm there to drop them. I'm there to take them to practice. Although you don't, like you say, you don't always feel appreciated in the moment. You don't appreciate it. But every day when I'm doing those things, I think back to where a lot of women don't get to do this. There's aftercare and all of that. So that is where the appreciation comes in. Also, if I don't feel up to it today and I'm like, well, I'm not feeling so great, so I'm just going to take the day off. okay, it's not wise if you've got that much work on the go, but you can do it. You know, if you want to go get your hair done, if you want to take your kid to the dentist, these are things that surprisingly are difficult to do when you're in corporate, you know, taking the time out, making up the hours, all those
Also
things.
having to be having to explain yourself. You know, I need to
Exactly.
do this because it's great when you don't have to do that. You know, I don't have to tell anybody what I'm doing when. I just have to get my work done. I don't have to justify anything else.
Exactly. And as a VA, the most beautiful thing is most of us work on an hourly rate or we work on a monthly package. So which lands up translating to hours anyway. So if I feel that I just want to get into this game and I only want to work 2 hours a day, you can do that. You can then choose clients and hours that suit 2 hours a day. If you feel that your kids are older now and you're happy to commit to 5-6 hours a day, you can do that. It's completely up to you, the days you want to work, the hours you want to work, and also quite important is who you want to work with.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big one. You know, as an entrepreneur, we actually get to choose. We actually get to have that meeting with the client and go, you know what, this person and I, we don't align. You know, we don't make sense. So I don't need to work with them. And of course, I've gone through those stages of working with everyone. So you learn very quickly, and then you get to choose who you want to work with. And I think that's amazing. I don't think any job on this planet allows you to choose who you want to deal with every day.
Absolutely. And so many people leave their jobs, don't they, because of bad bosses. I mean, you choose your bosses essentially by choosing your clients.
I don't think I was management of my team, but I also had a boss. And I really thought my last boss that I was with before I left, or second last, they were all great bosses, but I was not employee material. I was always the bossy one, you know. I was always the one to try and take charge of the situations. I think I was born to lead my own business, because even my husband would say to me, like, Sam, you were really the worst employee because you never listened to what you were meant to do. And I was like, no, but we can do it this way, and why aren't we doing it that way? And I just wasn't employee material, you know. I was boss material.
And how long did it take you to work that out then? When did you
To work out that this was not for me?
Yeah, to work out that you had to be your own boss. Was that something you always knew, or just something that just dawned on you one day? Was it your husband?
There was two things. It wasn't a case of wanting to be my own boss, but when I knew that my greatest love was teaching, I was in a company that was a training company, and I don't exactly know how this happened, but I'm really, really good at Excel and Microsoft Excel. And what happened was the trainer who was supposed to come and teach this client was not there, and I was there that day. And I was like, I can do this. And I landed up looking over the material, and I was absolutely terrified, because I was terrified of public speaking at school. And I actually landed up just standing up and teaching. And the day that I did that, I was like, oh man, this is what I should be doing. Like, I love to teach. And I went on teaching Excel for many, many years. And then there's so many times you can teach Excel when it drives you crazy. And that's when I started teaching other skills, like life skills and business skills. And so in my corporate job, I was a trainer, and I trained all sorts of professional skills and all sorts of business skills. So that was when I knew that I was meant for something else, not necessarily boss, but something else. And then one day, I just had kids, and my daughter had just been born. So I had my 2 boys, and my daughter was born, and she was very, 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 very prematurely born. So, but at this age, she was about 18 months old. She had recurring tonsillitis, just like my boys had. It seems to be a genetic thing in my family. And, you know, when they have recurring tonsillitis so long, eventually they recommend you take the tonsils out. And I was supposed to go to Mozambique on a business trip for, I think, a week training, which was not unusual, because I was usually away from my children most of the time. In fact, the lady at the preschool where my children went, the first time she ever saw me there, she actually thought she actually came to me, and it was the funniest thing. It's very dark, but really funny. She came to me and she said to me, are you Jonathan's mum? And I was like, yeah. She's like, oh my goodness, I thought you were dead. And I was like, what? And she had never seen me at the school. She had always seen my husband dropping and fetching and everything. She thought he was a widow. And that was a bit of a light bulb moment, that I was never there. You know, I was always traveling. And then my daughter got really sick, and I was supposed to travel to Mozambique to deliver a training program. And I went to my boss at the time and I said, look, you can deliver this training. Can you do it for me? Because my daughter's got to go into hospital, and basically I would have to leave the day after her surgery. And because she was premature, and again, like, can you hear? We start to explain ourselves. We shouldn't have to explain. My daughter has surgery, I can't go. And long story short, I was told I had to go. And I was just devastated. And my daughter had the surgery. She took longer than normal to come out of recovery, like 2 hours instead of half an hour. I brought her home. And if anybody's ever had a child that have had tonsils taken out, especially a baby, you're only meant to have it from 3. She was 18 months. You will know the pain that they go through. You have to sleep with them. And like every half an hour they are crying, and you know, you've got to administer painkillers and all that kind of stuff. And the next morning at 5 a.m., I was getting in a taxi and I was going away for 10 days. And my heart broke. I was just, and I thought to myself, I'm actually getting goosebumps. I thought to myself, this is not okay. You know, sure, she's got my husband, but I'm her mum. And I drove to the taxi to the airport, and I got on the plane and I landed. And that evening, I sat with my laptop and a glass of wine, of course. And I was just like, I'm done with this. Like, at no point should I not be with my daughter right now. This should not have happened. And there and then I sent my resignation. I didn't like check with my husband, are we going to be okay? And what am I going to do? I had no idea what I was going to do. But I was like, this is not okay. And it doesn't matter about the logistics. You know, the logistics were, the fact is, I had to go. And I understand my boss's perspective. I do. But it's not a choice I should have been made to make. So I sent in my resignation, and very soon after, we moved to Mauritius. And I got to Mauritius and I did start working again, weirdly enough, for like a month. And it made me realize, no, you definitely made the wrong decision again. We're going to find another way. We're going to find another way so that if my children need me, I am there. And I know it's a sad story, but it's a shift that happened that made me realize I will never work for a boss again.
I think it's interesting because there is that element of choosing just to do something, but there's also that element of being forced into a situation where it becomes untenable to not do something. And, you know, I was the same, you know, starting up Avery Creative. I felt I'd reached a point where I just had to do it. I couldn't continue with what I was doing because it was making me so unhappy. I had to come out. I had to start my business again. And it's a sad point to get to. I think if we could make that decision of, you know, I wish I'd done what I did way before it got to the point of like, I can't stay. I have to leave, rather than.
Absolutely. You get to that, like, I think with most things in life, don't you? You need to get to that absolute rock bottom in business, in a relationship, in whatever, before you decide. But once you make that decision, it was like, that's it. It's done. It's never going to happen again. And it's sad, but it's also happy. Do you know, if that hadn't happened, I might still be. And it was a great company to work for. And I would probably be potentially a director now. But I would still have to put in a little piece of paper every time I want to take a day off work. I don't want to do that. I mean, I could write a piece of paper now to myself, like requesting the day off.
Please, boss, give me a day off.
And just put it in my in tray so it feels more structured.
But maybe also it is that pain that makes you more determined to succeed in what you're doing. So, you said already in this interview that, it's hard, you don't get paid very much in the very beginning. You work harder, you are more determined. So potentially actually getting to that point of, this is so bad, I can't take it anymore, it really spurs you on. I'm never going back to work for anyone ever again. And it's like
Absolutely.
determination, and that journey that you went on made for you to say, I can't go back. I need to go forward.
Absolutely. You need that bad memory, that heightened emotion, because when you start a business, it's not all roses and daisies, especially when it's just you. Because in the beginning, just you is lonely. When you've come from a place where you hang out at the coffee area and talk to your colleagues, and there's hustle and bustle, until suddenly you're in a room with your computer and that's it. And you've got to have that willpower to say, well, I'm going to do this today and I'm going to get this done today. And there are going to be times where you're going to want to quit. And there are going to be times where people are going to judge you, or you're going to post something and someone's going to make a snarky comment and you're going to be like, I'm giving up. But then you remember that moment, that moment of why I'm doing this. And then you're okay with it. So as sad as it is, we need that. And I'm happy to have that. And I'm happy to tell that story to my children. I think that the whole evolution of people starting in corporate at a really low level, having to make coffee for their bosses and get their laundry and do all those horrid things. And then you work your way up. I think that's changing. I still hear parents talking to their kids about, you're going to start here and you're going to do this. I don't think so. I think kids know more about entrepreneurship than we do. And I don't know if the corporate cycle is going to be the way it has always been.
It's going to be an interesting one.
I mean, I've got a friend of mine, her daughter is 16 years old, and she's just managed to figure out, okay, she loves taking Instagram photos, especially in her bikini on the beach here in Mauritius. But what she suddenly realized is how many followers she got because of that. And then she realized, hold on, if I tag this famous bikini brand line, maybe I can get some free stuff. And now her entire Instagram is just tagging sun creams, hats, bikinis. She's got modeling shoots. I mean, I would honestly tell you, I think she makes more than some VAs just on building this online brand. So do you really think she's going to go into an entry-level corporate job and, make coffee for someone? I don't think so.
Well, she sounds like a smart cookie.
It's amazing.
So I'm sure that she will make her own way and become that entrepreneur that we all want to be, that we all kind of setting our hearts on.
That's awesome. I think our boys, Judy, are definitely going the gamer route.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
If you could do it all again, would you?
Absolutely. Would I do things differently now that I know? Of course. But absolutely. You have to have that journey to be the person you become at the end. But the key is to find the right people to walk that with you, to find the right logo lady, to find the right VA, to find the right people. And I think that's the most important thing. And in today's world, it's very easy to do that.
That's the thing, that people think that they're going to have to do it all on their own, but there's so much support out there. There's so much help you can get, so much that you can get for free, even.
And
information, groups, people. There's so much available to get you on your journey, to get you through your journey. And people love to help. Brilliant.
Absolutely. And we're here to support each other. I find, look, I work with women, and I just find it's so incredible the way women lift each other up in the online space. Of course, there's always the negatives as well. But I just find that we really do, that the world is so easy to connect with someone else going through exactly what you're going through. You know, I have a Facebook community where the women in there are all on the same journey, exactly the same. So when one person feels like giving up, the rest of them are there to support them, and you need that support.
So if anybody wants to get in contact with you, Sam, how do they do that? Where would they go?
Facebook is where my community is, so you can find me on my Facebook. Otherwise, my website, which
And
is
your
coming up
Facebook
now,
is Mum VA.
Mum VA, and my website as well is going to be coming up really soon, which will be mum-va.com. LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, got to be on everything, right? I'm still yet to do my YouTube channel like you, but one day I'll pluck up the courage for that.
Me too. Okay, thank you, Sam, and best of luck with everything. And I hope that everybody has found Sam's story inspiring. There's been about 1 million golden nuggets of hints and tips and advice and inspiration in this story, in Sam's story. So I hope that that can help inspire you to know that actually you can do this too.
Thanks, Trudy, and thank you for being part of this amazing journey.
Thanks, Sam.